Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with our beautiful miniature laptop journal series. So I made this little tiny lap book for the Rach and Bella and Angela Kerr Creating a Garden Story collaboration. And I actually made the journal off camera because that wasn't what it was about. I was just supposed to create something rustic, miniature garden. We did do this topper. It's removable. Let me show you what this looks like in case you haven't seen that video and you're new to the channel. This was the topper that we made. We will be making a topper that's removable in the same fashion at some point in the series. But I'm going to take you all the way down to the level of printing your digitals the size that you want them to be to make this size journal. We'll talk about dimensions in a moment. So it opens up like this, and a lap book is just a different, it's just a word for the way a journal opens and functions. So you can see this opens up. I think the idea originated from like some educational products and things that created more of a thing that would open like this so that students could work kind of all more spread out, etc. So each one will have, or each lap book has 2 signatures. On this one I did the signatures into the small spines. I'm going to be doing it into the main spine on this one because I didn't really care for the fact that my beads are out here when my spine is here. So I'm struggling with that. This is just for me. It just is sitting up there on my shelf of miniature things that I collect. So that's what we're going to be making in the series. So I've got a few supplies. I'll talk about them so that I can unbury what's underneath here. So I've got some gesso because we are going to be doing some gessoing of our chipboard once we tape it all together and make the structure of our journal. So we've got that. I've got a pot of water, so I've got some place to put my brushes, a couple of brushes. I am using cobalt turquoise golden fluid acrylic and the raw umber fluid acrylic to make the sorry, I should have kept this in, to make the crackle effect. So the turquoise will be I'm not sure, I might do brown underneath and do turquoise as the top layer, we'll see, but we're gonna mimic that crackle effect. So I've got my crackle medium as well. This is from, this one's a different one that I've used most recently. This is ceramic coat. It does not matter. It all works the same. Let me make sure. This is actually for wood. I wonder if it's just for wood. I don't think it matters. But I'm just going to I Spy this because I didn't read the directions before on my last video where I did this. So crackle, let dry until tacky. Yeah, about the same. And then you put the second paint on top. Pretty sure. I've got my ink. I don't think that we're going to get to that stage in the in this video, but I just thought I'd show you. I use Vintage Photo archival ink for all of my inking. Got a quarter rounder in case when we get ready again to we might round the corners. I won't be doing any stitching on these because they're just too little. I love to stitch around my signature pages, but we won't be doing that. But I wanted to show you this would be an option, and we'll probably come back to that in a future video. I've got some masking tape to tape my cover pieces together, and so I'm just going to move all this stuff out. These are the pages from the kit, and I'm using the kit. It's called Aviva from Sweet Pea Curiosities. My other one that I just showed you, I used the Garden Story as I mentioned, so we're going to do something different here. So look at this precious, precious little girl. So I'm just going to flip through these so you can see these images. Aren't they absolutely adorable? We probably won't be using all of these, but we'll be able to select from quite a variety. I love that one. So these are the actual pages, so you can see that they're a split page, so they'll be folded in half without any issues. So fingers are not working. So yeah, and then when we get down to the bottom here, we've got, and these are more like the background pages, so they're a full page. So even hard to show you. You can get my nail in there. It's almost half as big as the paper. I've got 2 of them printed on vellum. You can do that if you choose. You don't have to if you don't want to. So there should be 2. Where's the other vellum page? I should have 2 vellum pages. I wonder if one fell on the floor. Oh, there it is. There's our other vellum. So yeah. And then another page. And then these are miniaturized. Well, this one's not the right size. I'll have to trim that down. These are miniaturized versions of my own mixed media paper. So I shrunk those down to 25% as well. I had to play a little bit more with those because when it's your own scan or your own photo, it may not start at the same percentage as what I'm talking about, the 97%, which would change your dimensions if you just automatically assume that you can do 25% and get the same size as I'm working with. You got to be careful there and play around. So that's that. And then this is another mixed media paper from my stash, another, and this one is just a vintage music paper from my vintage stash. So that's all of the pages that will be available for our signatures. Now, I do want to tell you that as you're making a decision to do this project, you've got 2 choices. You've got well, you don't really have 2 choices. If you want to follow this tutorial exactly, I would recommend that you shrink your pages down, as I'm going to show you in a minute with this print screen here, down to 25%, which means you're going to have a whole piece of paper. Sorry, I'm out of view here. A whole piece of paper, and it's only going to print this much in the middle. So you have to be prepared that you're going to use a lot of paper. Now, obviously, you can save those white scraps and use them for something else, but I just want you to be aware that that's the risk. So in terms of the amount of paper you're going to go through to create all the pages in this kit or in a typical kit. So I will give you the second option in case you feel a little bit more confident. You could do where you go into your settings and you change how many things are printing on a page or how many pages on one page, and you could potentially get the same result, get them down to about 25%. But if you don't have them down to the size that I'm doing, which let me tell you what those are in a minute, you're not going to be able to follow this exactly. So I would recommend printing it down 25%. Just deal with the paper waste. Just throw that in a drawer to be used for something else. These are all of the ephemera bits. I have not cut them out, so these look to be pockets. We've got some pockets. Look at these. They're so little. I mean, look at that. Like that little, I don't even know what that is. It looks like it's like a little mini file folder or something, but super, super adorable. So let's get down to something different here. There's little pockets, little envelope. So I'll be cutting these out before I get to the next video. I did print a couple of some of these designs because I know I'll probably need more than is in one. So, and the way that you can tell as you're going along that, and even though I'm skipping ahead, guys, the width of our pages are 1 3/8 inches. So if I put this ruler up to that pocket, it's actually, it's smaller than that. So our pockets are going to be teeny tiny. Our pockets are only going to be 1 inch. That's okay. So, and that's a little bit harder to fuss with in terms of finding like the exact setting in your printer to make these be the width of your actual journal page. I'm not being particular about that. It's hard enough as it is. So really, really beautiful ephemera. Another one that I printed a couple of times. And then these look to be like little journal cards, which could be cut into tags. We've got a couple of those, and then more pockets and such. So we even got tabs. Look at those. I forgot the tabs. Look at those teeny tiny little tabs. So let me set these aside. I'm all over. I'm excited, guys. I have to tell you, I am excited for this project. So I'm going to set these aside. We'll talk about those in a minute. So our lap book, this lap book measures, the cover is 1 5/8 inches wide by 2 3/8 inches high. The pages inside are 1 3/8 inches wide by 2 1/8 inches high. So they're slightly smaller, as you would imagine. The main spine is 1 inch wide. The smaller spines are 1/2 inch. Now, I didn't realize this as I was preparing that these ones, the main front and back are the 1 5/8 inches wide. These ones I did 1 3/8 inches because I don't like them to come clear to that other edge. Whichever way you're ending up binding this, I want a little bit of room there. That's why there's a gap. Okay, hope that's making sense. It's hard to see in there. So those are our dimensions, and I'm going to hold this up for a second after I talk with you and let you take a screenshot of this. I will also take a picture of this and put it in the photos at the end of the video. So this is just showing, I've pulled up the digital in my printer, right? However that looks in your printer, and this is showing it already shrunk. So obviously if it was not shrunk, this would be bigger. So in the printer settings, I go down here to scale. You want to hit that bubble there, change the percent to 25%, and you'll get the same size as me, provided that your digital starts at 97%. Let me make a note that the original at 97%. Okay, and if you're good at math and you can figure out how to fudge that more, you certainly could, but that's going to allow you to print that tiny journal page in the middle of your printer paper to fit in this journal. So I'm going to hold this still for a second if I can get it in frame and let you take a screenshot. But again, I'll make sure that this is in the photos at the end of the video. So I'm going to set that aside and we're going to get going. That was a lot of yakking, 11 minutes of yakking. It's important though. It's important for you to know the details. So I'm grabbing a little craft mat because we are going to be needing that in a second. So these are my main pieces. So this is the piece that measures one. I need to bring that back over because my brain is fragmented, to be honest. Okay, so my cover pieces are 1 5/8 by 2 3/8, and this is the main spine. So these are going to get taped together like so, leaving a little bit of a gap in between, like that, okay? And then what's going to happen here is then these are going to come up here on the side, like that. Okay, that one's crooked. That's okay, we'll deal with it. And then these are the smaller pieces. These are the ones that measure 1 3/8 inches wide by 2 3/8, and those will go here. And that's how it's all going to fold up beautifully. So let's get going. I'm going to set these aside so that we can focus on the main pieces. I'm going to grab my tape. Working really small, it's hard to keep this still while you bring in your masking tape or whatever you're using. So I like to put a little bit of clear tape. So I'm just going to do that really quick. And I'm just going to go, don't really want that to go all the way. Shoot. I don't think I did this in my other one, so it's okay. I'm just holding that in place. You want about 1/8 of an inch, I think. That's about 1/8 of an inch. There we go. Just holding that in place, okay? We'll do this other, well, I'm going to leave that one for a second because in case I need to turn this. And I like to do one piece on the front and one piece on the back. So I would recommend using a thinnish masking tape because you don't want a lot of the tape lines to show because of the, oh, you know what, maybe we'll wrap this one all the way around and then we won't have to double up. So let's do that. This should wrap all the way around. So you're just kind of centering the center of the tape with your, the base that you're trying to put together here. It doesn't have to be precise. So you can see there, I'm a little bit farther over this way. Not a big deal. I'm going to pull that up and then turn it over, and I'm just trying to get it sort of straightish. Doesn't matter a whole lot. I just did a video where I did the crackle effect, and I was working on my Winter Wonder Journal #2 cover where I did the crackle cover, and I had these lines here that looked really funny from the tape, but I was also using gaffer's tape on that project. This is just thin masking tape, so it will just be fine. So then you're going to line this one up in similar fashion, just putting a piece of tape down this. This one's now stiffer, so going to kind of make that more flexible again. This looks taller. Is that taller? It is a little bit taller. Look at that. Let me trim that off. Boy, oh boy. If it's not one thing, it's another. I will link the chipboard that I use. It's my preferred thing. The reason why is because I like that it's just brown. I don't have to worry about covering up cereal, Cheerios, pictures or whatever. You could totally use cereal boxes. You'd probably just need more gesso to cover all that color up, which totally works, and you can do that. But I am doing what I am comfortable with, so that's important. So let me get another piece of tape again, and we're gonna do that again. Okay. Boom. Oh, that one's a little bit wider. Let me move that over. Oh my goodness. We are off to a rockin' start. You know what I say? Perfection is not at play in the studio. We don't worry about it. I don't want a huge gap because that will be really weird in the end result. So that's better. I'm going to put another piece because I think I kind of compromised that. There we go. Okay. More masking tape. And again, you're putting it over. Just try to aim for, you just want to get it covered. It doesn't matter if it's even, as I mentioned. So, and I wonder how your view is, if it's close enough for you guys. I think it might be. I'm working, as I've mentioned in a couple of videos, I'm working with new software. So my screen recorder, I can now zoom, which is epic, and I can pause the video and stuff, but my view on my desktop computer, my monitor, is much smaller for me to see, like, oh, am I in frame and what's working out there. So I feel like I need to tape that down now, though, because that is some raw paper. So I'm going to put another piece of tape there. Not a problem. Not a problem. I don't want that to come up, so none of that's going to show. So there is our base. So if you just wanted to do the journal, you could just stop right here. You've got your journal, okay? But we're going to go on and on and on, okay? So now we're going to bring in this side spine piece. And this is hard, I'm telling you. So you definitely wouldn't have to do, you could follow the general instructions here and not do a miniature journal and do just a smaller journal. But yeah, this is for doing this exact size. I'm just trying to keep that in place. That's a tiny, tiny piece. I'm going to go ahead and glue the other one on, or tape the other one on while we're here. Okay. And if you have a little bit more of a gap, don't stress about it. It's not a big deal. We just roll with the things that don't work out. I do that a lot. That one looked taller too. Why is that taller? It is taller. Look at that. Again, it's taller. So let me trim that one. Boom. Rolling with it. It's always something, you know. You know what I say. There we go. I feel okay about that. I'll go ahead and get our masking tape. I wonder if we can do both here. I better not. I want to be better safe than sorry. I'll go ahead and put the other piece on too. There we go. Fold those over again. Perfect. Don't worry if there's wrinkles or anything, because it's not going to show, and it's just going to add texture. If it does show, it's just texture. Okay, so that's the left side. So let's do the right side. Is everything looking? Yeah, everything's looking somewhat even, I think. Okay, let's get these last two pieces on. Stay. It's such a small piece. There we go. That might be a little bit too wide of a gap, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a junk journal, handmade journal, whatever you want to call it. I don't get caught up in all that language. If you want to call it a handmade journal, call it a handmade journal. If you want to call it a junk journal, call it a junk journal. Doesn't matter. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Does not matter. There we go. Okay. Just turn those over and give it a good press. Again, wrinkles don't matter. They don't even matter on your face, don't you know? Let me get rid of that. And piece of tape out of my way. Okay, so now we are ready for gesso. So this is going to fold in like this. This is going to fold in like this. And it is like the baby sister or the twin sister to the other one. This is exactly what the other one looked like. It's so epic. I love it. Okay, so now let me get my mat over here. And we're going to gesso. So this takes a little bit of time. I'll have to pause to dry and all that fun stuff because we obviously can't do the other side until this side is dry. But I will probably speed through this part, speed this up, and then I'll do the drying, and then I'll be back with you. Yeah, magical. So give a good coat here. And basically what this gesso is doing, and I'm sure I did not mention it, is that it's creating a barrier. It's creating a layer of protection between the wet mediums that we're going to be putting on top of this and the chipboard itself, because chipboard is merely compressed cardboard, so it will absorb liquid, it will absorb paint, and it will buckle still to some degree, but not as much as it would be a problem if you did not use any gesso. So I highly recommend it. You don't have to have white gesso. You could have clear gesso. You just need that barrier. I imagine one could use a white acrylic paint too, if you wanted to, because it's the same. It's basically gesso is an acrylic medium. So I've heard people use it, use them interchangeably, gesso and white acrylic paint. But I think that, in my personal opinion, I feel like gesso gives it's got more substance to it. It gives more tooth to the surface that you're putting it on, which allows other mediums to stick to it, as well as creating that barrier. I'm also getting the gesso on the edges because I don't want any brown showing necessarily, and I want those edges protected as well from the paint. So that is the first side. So I'm going to dry this and I'll be right back. There we go. Gesso does not take very long to dry, at least at that thickness. So let's go ahead and do the other side as well. Doesn't matter if you're sloppy. You can see I'm being pretty sloppy. Don't really have to worry about the edges again because I know I got them pretty well on the other side. I came up on the sides, so here we go. And we'll give this a quick dry too, and then we'll be back to start doing our crackle magic. I've had a few comments from folks on the channel that they, back in the day, I mean, probably, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years ago, maybe, probably not 30. Yeah, probably 30 years. We used to like crackle furniture and crackle picture frames and all that stuff. It's kind of not as popular, I don't think, as it used to be, but it's a fun way to kind of create a vintage, and in this case, kind of a grungy look in a project. So I will be back after this is dried. Okay, we are ready for the next step. I'm just going to cap up that gesso. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to wipe out this brush so that we can reuse it. Okay, so I'm going to, what did I say I was going to do? I think I want the turquoise, the cobalt turquoise, to be the crackle part. So again, in case I didn't explain it well, in this one, I did the blue first. Whoops. And then I did the brown was the second layer. I'm going to reverse those this time. I'd like less brown and more turquoise. So less brown, more turquoise. So brown first. Sometimes the brain doesn't work very well. So I'm just going to put some of this out on my mat. And I'm just going to give a really even coat on here. I'm not going to overthink it too much. Fluid acrylics are very fast drying, so I do have to move fairly quickly because when this layer is all painted on, you just want it to dry to tacky, not completely dry. So I'm being mindful of that. I'm going to hit those edges as well. Better to hit the edges with your base color so that you're not fussing with the color that you put on top of the crackle, because you want to minimize the brush strokes when you get to that step. So this is really going to dry fast because of the nature of the fluid acrylics. So I am trying to get straight up and down lines. Okay, putting more in. It's already drying. Wow, craziness. Okay, again, I don't worry about perfection even with crackle. I just kind of am satisfied with whatever I get. So I'm going to continue on here. And if you happen to miss any of those edges, you can always capture it with some paint later, but it'll look like it'll stand out because it won't be crackled. It won't have any effect of the other mediums that we're using. So if you can remember to do that now would be good. Okay, it's hard when you get to this point. There's nothing to hold on to. So I'm going to smooth out those brush strokes just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to give this a minute or two to dry. I will come back and tell you, I think it's already like, it's not even shiny. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I wish I could show it to you, but with the other craft acrylic, I would see like puddles of paint. So I'm going to give it just a little bit of time. I'm not going to heat set it, but I'm going to be back in a second and we'll continue on. We're going to do the crackle and the turquoise layer and do all three parts on each side, and then yeah, so we'll do this side first is what I'm really trying to say. So I'll be right back. Okay, I think we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and do our crackle layer. Now on the crackle layer, you want to make sure you don't fuss a lot with your brush strokes. So I'm just going to put some out here on my table, on my mat rather. And I'm going to use a different brush just because I know it's clean, and I'm going to just go really succinctly. So I'm just gonna, I do want to get it to the edges, so let me try going that direction first. You just don't want to try to like control it ultimately, just get it where you want it and then be good with it. So then I'm going to go to the bottom, because what I noticed is if you break that stroke, you kind of get a choppy thing. So I'm just working quickly so that I can try to minimize that. And you can kind of look at it on the side to see how your strokes look. But again, there's not a whole lot you can do to affect that. So you want to kind of just let it be. Let it be, Cara-Renee. So we're going to, again, let this dry. Sorry for the sunshine coming through. I think I'll close the shade. The sun decided to show up. So we'll be back when this is ready for the next layer. So I want to show you really quick what this looks like as it's in this current state. So hoping that this picks up on the camera. So you can see all that crackle medium. Now you can wait until that's all completely absorbed. I don't like to do that. I like to go in with my next layer now because I like a little bit more of a messy result with my crackle. So I'm going to do that. I haven't noticed it really makes a huge difference anyway, but I also am pretty thick on that that crackle medium now that I'm looking at it. But I'm going to go ahead and put out my cobalt turquoise here on my mat as well. Okay. Probably need a little bit more than that. There we go. Okay, and we're going to be very succinct here. I'm just going to put my fingernail here so I can kind of hold that in place. And I'm just going to go over this, okay? And the crackle happens very, very quickly. So I'm just going to move along here. You can leave little parts of brown or whatever your base color is showing if you'd like, and just enjoy the magic of that. This is a different crackle medium, so I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. It looks like it's made for wood, but I don't think it makes a difference. I don't remember my other bottles saying that though, but I was using Deco Art crackle medium, so we'll see what this does. So I will be back in a couple minutes when this is a little bit cracked. Okay, this is not dry yet, but I cannot resist showing you what the crackle's looking like. So this is exactly what we want. Look at that. Look at that. So this is going to have to actually dry for probably a couple of hours. For you, it's going to be seconds, but I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and come back. I'm going to go get busy doing some other stuff, and I'll be back and we'll test to make sure it's nice and dry, and then we'll do the other side. So I'll be back. Hi, my name is Cara-Renee, and I am an impatient crafter. So it's hard to wait for things to dry. So I did kind of hit it with my heat tool on that a little bit, and I got some bubbles, but I don't mind it. And then I left it alone, but it's pretty well dry enough to do the other side. So we're going to do the same process on this side, only when we're between steps, I'm going to pull over our signature pages and we're going to start folding them and rounding the corners and doing some work. We may as well use that time to do something. So let me get a little bit of raw umber out here. Now you wouldn't have to do inside and outside. You could cover this with paper, but I just feel like for the effect that I'm going for, it looks really cool to do this. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying not to press down on this just in case anything is tacky still. In fact, I think I think we should be fine on this craft mat. I was going to get a piece of parchment, but I think we're okay. What was I going to say? Oh, so we will be sealing this before we do anything else with Deco Art Dura Clear Satin Varnish, because you don't want this stuff chipping off. And so I'll be doing that as well. I'll link it. I probably won't do that on camera. It's really not necessary. It doesn't take a lot of the product. It's an inexpensive varnish, so I will link that as well for you. Just try not to press hard because I know it's not absolutely dry on the other side. It's good enough for what we're doing, but I'm just being a little bit careful. A little bit careful. It's hard for me to wait, especially when all I want to do is be in here in the studio creating, but I can't because I'm waiting for something to dry. So it's not like I can go and do something else in here. That is. Okay, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside, and I'm just going to keep my eyes on it, my mind on it. It doesn't need much time there because it's drying super fast, and I don't know if that's because the papers are just so, it's such a small surface, but I need to trim this one off. This was one of my handmade or mixed media music papers, so I'm just going to trim that off so it's the same height as the other one. And let's decide what we want. So it's going to have two signatures. So let me put these specialty papers up here. So there's 2 of those for each signature, and then we've got 1 vellum for each signature, and then we've got all the rest of these. So let's just start dividing and conquering. So this is a background page, background page. I'm going to set that one aside as an extra. Journal page, journal page, journal page, journal page. And so that's, I think I had 6 in each one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the vellum would be 6. And then we will put, I think we can go with 1 more journal page actually. So let me get 1 more in here for each of these. Just want to make sure I don't duplicate. I don't think I duplicated anything. So let's see what we've got now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we've got too many now. Let me pull one of those out. Let's pull that one out. And we'll pull that one out. Okay, so then we've got a vellum page, and then we've got 2 of these. Are they the right? They're not even the right width. Goodness gracious. I have become lax. Not a problem. So let's just start folding these. I think I want to kind of do this deal. So we're just going to fold them in half. Okay. They're very narrow. They seem so small. What are our dimensions? The pages are 1 3/8. Let's check the measurements here. They seem awfully small. Oh, they seem awfully small. Oh yeah. Well, just shy of 1 3/8. Close enough. Okay. Just gonna fold all these really quick. I love this kit. If you guys haven't checked out Sweet Pea Curiosities, she is the bomb. And she is so busy right now making beautiful things. And I'm loving her shop. So this one feels like it's not going to fold on that line. So I'm going to fudge that over, and it's just going to be, the front part will be a little bit shorter than the back part, which is okay. That might be my error in my cutting. I'm not sure. Yeah, because this one seems to be fine, or better anyway. I better get that thing back over here. Let me fold this last one. We'll bring that project back over and do our crackle. Come on, baby. You gotta get out of the way. You got things to do. Okay. So let's go ahead and get our crackle layer on. This should still be good. Yep. I would say probably only about 30 minutes passed while I was waiting for that to dry. So I'm going to go lighter on this one. See if I can minimize that absolute thick layer that I got on the other side. So we will set that aside and let it get semi-dry-ish. Let's go back to our pages. So when you do this, if you guys have been making journals, you know that folding them is not really all you need to do. You need to burnish them too, otherwise they are not going to lay very flat. And I'll show you the back sides too. I used some different papers. I used an avocado dyed paper. I'll try to remember to link that as well. The vellum doesn't have to be re-burnished. And then I just used some other coffee dyed paper from a digital. So I believe this is all from Liana's Scraps. She is actually one of my favorites to pull most of the time. I also do love the background page from Ruby and Pearl out of her beautiful birds kit. But of course you could back with whatever you want, or you could stencil on the inside. Oh, so this is an avocado page. So just a really subtle pink tone there is really pretty. So let's think about which ones we want to. I don't necessarily want to round all the corners. Well, maybe I do. Maybe we should just round them. Let's round them all. So I'm going to use the 4mm. And I didn't mention that I do my printing on 65-pound paper. I like the weight of that. I like that it feels substantial. I do not like working with 20-pound paper. But you can totally do that. It's up to you. But yeah, I just don't like it. But I kind of been using the heavier stock for quite a while, so it's hard to go back to the flimsy paper. I do use a 49-pound paper on occasion, but I currently can't get it. It's out of stock on Amazon, so I haven't been using it because I just have a very little bit left. But it's nice if you want to go a little bit lighter, but not like 20-pound. Let's go ahead and do this too. So we'll round the inside and then we'll round the outside edge separately, like so. Oops, that was bad news, Cara-Renee. There we go. And I'm not going to round the vellum because my cutters don't like vellum. So let's arrange these. Let's just go ahead and arrange these. So I usually like to have a vellum one on top of something that I really want to kind of highlight. So like I might do that so that that little girl shows through a little bit. That'll work. But I like to start with the first page. So what do we want to have be the first page? I think I want this one to be. Okay, so I'm going to stick this one in. And then we'll do these two. And then we'll do this one and then this one in the middle. Now, oh, that's really, really wide. What the heck happened? This one must not have been cut right in general, so I'm not sure what I did. So yeah, that's got to be cut off. So I'm just going to trim that one off to that other edge and just round those corners again. It's going to be slightly smaller. I'm not sure what happened there. It might have been when I fussy cut them out. And that goes in the middle. So this signature is now ready for the next step. I do not like, I might have to round those edges. I guess I could round them by hand. You don't have to use a punch. So let me grab this out and yeah, it's tricky. I'm going to leave it. Not feeling like I'm confident about that. Okay, so there is our first signature. Now, I'm not bothered by uneven edges. We will have to evaluate this as we go along because our journal cover is constrained because there is actually boundaries because it's like a box. So you can't have things hanging out. So the cover's 1 5/8. So that's still going to work. We're at 1 and not even 1.5 there. We're about 1.5. So I won't have to alter that. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab a paper clip here. Just paper clip that together. And then, oh, what? Did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that what I wanted? Yeah, I think 6 pages is enough. I might have done too many there or got too many prepped, or maybe I started this. I don't know. Let's go ahead and fold these ones as well. Were these the extras? I think these were the extras. Now I'm folding them, and that's going to affect how I can use them. Let me grab these. Are these the ones I pulled out? Yeah, this is the ones I pulled out. Goodness gracious, Cara-Renee. Again, I'm not aiming for perfection here, so I just fold and let it be what it's going to be. I think I want this one to be, I want that one to be the top page of this second signature, or the other signature rather. one more, and then we'll turn to our project again and finish that up. I won't, I'll come back in the next video and show you what it looks like all dried, because I don't want to piddle around with that and wait for that to be completely set to show you. So there we go. So let's go ahead. Oh, the music paper would look pretty in there. Yeah. So we wanted her on the front, so that's good. And then let's go ahead and put this one here. It seems taller too. What? Let's do that and that. Oh, whoops. There's so little. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you look at it, look at my thumb. That's the height of the pages. It's crazy. So let's count them. One. I'm not going to count the vellum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could probably do with, well, I'm going to stick with 6. I'm going to stick with 6. So this one had 1, 2, those are 2 together. I need to move that. 3, 4, 5. We need one more here. Let's get that little bird in here. Let's do this one. Oh, that's already cut too. All right. So we are good on these. So that is ready to go. And this was ready to go for the next video. Now we will probably be sewing these into the journal in the next video. I'm not sure what all will get done in that video, but you can come back and check it out. So let's bring, oh, this is looking really good. It's still pretty wet, but I just want to lift this up and see. Yeah, nothing's being affected on the other side by speeding through this for being impatient. There's no cost to being impatient right now. Okay, so I'm going to grab my other brush and we're going to see if we've got enough paint. We do not. It's kind of dried, so I'm going to get a little bit more out here. Okay, we're going to do that same process. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I am being very light-handed with my brush, even though I'm going against what I said by going over the same area more than once. I'm not pushing into the base, so I don't feel like I'm really moving anything around. I don't have enough paint there. It looks like there's more there, but there's not. Oh, yeah, I just got paint all over my dauber. I am not hardly even putting any pressure to put this down, so that's just an FYI, and that is looking amazing. So let me hold this up. I want to show you this wrinkle. Look at this wrinkle right here. Oh, that's not the main spine, but that will show, so that's really cool. And look at it's already cracking. I think we let this one dry a little bit more, which was probably good. And we've got another wrinkle here, which I think is really cool. That's from the masking tape. And yeah, so my friends, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'll come back in the next video, and we will, I think what we'll do is we'll sew the signatures in, and we'll also do the topper in the next video. And then we'll come in and we'll do all of the decorating. We'll make some little tags. There's not really making tags because you can't create a lot of bulk. So basically with a little tag shaped piece, I would just put a little bit of vintage lace on the top just to give it a little bit of a topper, and call that good. You can't do a whole lot, but we'll evaluate what we can get done in the next video when we get there. So thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.